500 years ago, a quiet Florentine diplomat sat in exile, watching the men who destroyed him tear each other apart. He never raised his voice. He never sent a single letter of defense. He never tried to clear his name. And within a decade, every one of his enemies was either dead, disgraced, or begging to be forgotten. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli, and before he died, he left behind a brutal playbook that most men today are too weak to even read, let alone live. You've been bleeding power your entire life. Every time you argued with a fool who was never going to change his mind. Every time you rehearsed a comeback in the shower at 2 a.m. Every time you explained yourself to someone who had already decided to misunderstand you, you thought you were defending yourself. You were feeding them. You thought you were being strong. You were being used. Tonight, that stops. In the next 16 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 7 laws Machiavelli distilled from a lifetime of watching kings rise and fall. 7 laws that teach you how to dominate without conflict, how to win without speaking, and how to become the one man no one can reach, no one can rattle, and no one can ignore. These are not motivational quotes. These are weapons. Use them carefully. Drop the phrase, "I reclaim my power," in the comments before we begin. Let's go. Machiavelli understood something the common man never will. Attention is not free. Every second you give another human being, you are spending the only currency God does not refund. Your time, your focus, your nervous system. And most of you are hemorrhaging it. A stranger insults you in traffic, and you carry him home for 3 hours. A co-worker throws a sly remark at lunch, and you rehearse a comeback until midnight. A man online you will never meet leaves a cruel comment, and for one full afternoon, he lives rent-free in the most expensive real estate you own, your mind. You think you're winning because you came up with a good retort. You didn't win, you paid rent. The prints were written for rulers, but the lesson is the same for you. A king who answers every peasant's complaint is no longer a king. He is a clerk. Power begins the moment you stop answering everyone, not out of cruelty, out of accounting. Before you hand your attention to anyone, ask one question. What does this person return on my investment? If the honest answer is nothing, you walk. No explanation, no apology, no lingering look over the shoulder. The kings of this world build filters. The serfs answer every knock at the door. Most men are terrified of silence because they confuse it with surrender. They believe that if they don't get the last word, they lost the fight. Machiavelli would have laughed at them. The last word is for people who still need to be understood. The untouchable man stopped needing that a long time ago. Here is the brutal truth of silence. Every word you speak in defense of yourself hands your enemy ammunition. Every explanation is a map of your insecurities. Every rebuttal is a confession that their words mattered enough to move you. But silence gives them nothing. They cannot twist what you never said. They cannot quote a sentence that does not exist. They cannot feed on a reaction that never came. And here is the part that will haunt them. When you answer nothing, they do not move on. They obsess. They check their phone. They ask their friends, "Do you think he saw it?" They replay the conversation for days. They build entire theories about what your silence means. They torture themselves with a riddle they invented. You did not fire a single shot, and yet they are bleeding in a war only they are fighting. Machiavelli watched this happen in every court in Italy. The men who spoke too much destroyed themselves. The men who weighed their words became legends. When you speak rarely, your words gain weight. When you refuse to defend yourself, your enemies wonder what you know that they don't. Silence is not the absence of a response. Silence is the loudest response there is. There is a trap most men fall into after they discover the first 2 laws. They decide the solution is to vanish. They cut everyone off, delete every account, become a hermit on a hill, and call it power. That is not power. That is exile with extra steps. Machiavelli never preached disappearance. He preached presence on your terms. The most dangerous man in the room is not the man who left. It is the man who is still there, smiling politely while remaining completely unreachable. You see him, but you cannot touch him. You know his name, but you do not know his mind. He comes when he chooses. He leaves when he chooses. And you find yourself waiting for his return like weather. Think about anyone you have ever been obsessed with. A lover, a mentor, a friend whose approval you chased. Was it the person who answered every text instantly? Or was it the one who took half a day, appeared on their own schedule, and then vanished back into their life before you were ready to let them go? Availability kills mystique. Scarcity creates religion. Be seen, but rarely. Be heard, but briefly. Stay in the game, but refuse to play by the game's rules. Make your presence a gift that must be earned, not a utility that can be summoned. When people stop knowing when you will appear, they stop taking you for granted. When they stop taking you for granted, they start chasing. And the moment someone starts chasing you, you have already won. Human beings are built for closure. We cannot sleep until the story has an ending. When someone hurts us, we need a fight, a resolution, an apology, a curse. Anything that lets our brain file the incident away. Take that closure away, and the mind begins to eat itself. This is why being ignored hurts worse than being insulted. An insult is attention. A fight is attention. A cold stare is attention, but a blank screen, an unread message, an empty chair where a response was supposed to be. That is a wound that cannot scab over. The brain keeps poking it. Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's angry. Maybe he's dead. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. Round and round until they cannot focus on their job, their family, or their own face in the mirror. Machiavelli watched this play out in the politics of Florence. Leaders who answered every slander drowned in the swamp they kept stirring. Leaders who answered nothing watched their accusers consume themselves trying to explain the silence. Indifference was the only weapon sharp enough to kill without a trial. Apply this ruthlessly. When a hater comments, do not delete, do not reply, do not block, simply do not see. When an ex tests the waters, do not tell them to stop. Do not give them the satisfaction of a boundary speech. Simply do not exist on the other end of the line. When an old friend returns with a guilt trip, do not defend yourself. Do not lecture. Do not forgive loudly. Simply become the emptiest room they ever walked into. You don't need revenge. Revenge is attention dressed in a suit. Indifference is the real murder weapon, and it leaves no fingerprints. Not every person in your life deserves the same level of silence. Machiavelli would tell you there are 3 categories of human being you must remove completely, and each requires a different kind of ruthlessness. The first category is the quiet enemy. Not the man who disagrees with you honestly, but the smiling one who repeats your words back wrong in rooms you are not invited to. Do not expose him. Exposure gives him a stage. Numb. Do not confront him. Confrontation legitimizes him. Erase him. Build your life so loudly that the noise of his lies cannot be heard over the sound of your rising. Let your success be the obituary he has to read every morning. The second category is the professional critic. Not a mentor who challenges you to grow, but the man whose entire identity is built on tearing down people braver than him. Critics are parasites. They die the moment you stop feeding them attention. Never argue with a critic. Never prove yourself to a critic. Critics do not want to be right. They want to be noticed.
Guarding your energy
Refuse to notice
is
them,
not selfishness.
and they starve.
It is the only.
The third category is the most dangerous because it hides inside friendships. Energy vampires. The friend with a new crisis every week. The family member whose drama never resolves. The partner who demands comfort but never returns it. They are not cruel people. They are leaks. And no matter how big your cup, a slow leak will empty you. Guarding your energy from these people is not selfishness. It is the only way you will have anything left to give the ones who actually matter. You do not need a speech. You do not need a confrontation. You do not need a dramatic farewell. You simply stop responding. Stop showing up. Stop refilling the well they keep draining. One quiet morning, they will realize you are gone. And by then, it will already be too late to chase you. Here is the hard truth no one wants to hear. The reason people can control you has nothing to do with how strong they are. It has everything to do with how thin your armor is. Every trigger you carry is a door someone else holds a key to. Every sore spot is a lever a stranger can pull. Until you harden the soft places, you are not a man. You are a puppet with good posture. Machiavelli studied fallen princes his entire life, and he noticed something the historians missed. They did not fall because their enemies were cleverer. They fell because their own emotions were predictable. A prince who could be flattered was manipulated by flatterers. A prince who could be shamed was controlled by shame. A prince who needed to be right was led by anyone willing to call him wrong. Their feelings were the weapon that destroyed them, and their enemies barely had to load it. The armor of indifference is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to let another person's words decide your internal weather. Someone calls you lazy. You know the hours you've put in. You do not need a stranger's approval to validate your sweat. Someone calls you arrogant. Arrogance is often the word cowards use for confidence they cannot match. Someone misunderstands your motives. Let them. People who misunderstand you on purpose are not looking for an explanation. They are looking for an argument you have no obligation to attend. To build this armor, start with awareness. Write down the 5 words that still make your jaw clench. Those are your weak points. Now sit with them. Meditate on them. Say them out loud to yourself until they lose their voltage. The goal is not to pretend they don't hurt. The goal is to make them so familiar that they cannot surprise you anymore. Once nothing surprises you, nothing moves you. And once nothing moves you, no one can steer you. The armored man is not cold. He feels deeply. He simply decides when and where those feelings are allowed on the battlefield. The final law is the one most men will never understand, because it contradicts everything they were raised to believe. You were taught that success belongs to the hustler, the grinder, the man who fights the hardest battle. Machiavelli would tell you that is the philosophy of soldiers, not of princes. Soldiers die in the trenches. Princes watch from the hill. Calculated inaction is not laziness. It is the discipline to recognize which battles solve themselves if you simply refuse to show up. Someone is spreading a lie about you. Time is the best lawyer you will ever hire. Live so well that the lie cannot breathe. Someone is trying to compete with you. Stop looking over your shoulder. The moment you acknowledge the race, you are already running their pace. Someone is baiting you into a public fight. Every fight you refuse is a victory no one had to witness to confirm. The old you would scramble. The old you would post the long explanation. The old you would call every mutual friend to set the record straight. The old you would drain an entire weekend trying to prove you were the good guy. The new you does nothing, and reality, given enough time, always tells the story you would have wasted your breath trying to tell. Power is not always motion. Sometimes power is the stillness of a man who knows his enemies will exhaust themselves long before he has to lift a finger. Sometimes the most aggressive thing you can do is refuse to react. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the refusal to make one. Machiavelli did not rise by fighting every man who wronged him. He rose by outliving them. Let me tell you what these 7 laws cost, because nothing worth having is free. They cost you the cheap satisfaction of the last word. They cost you the addictive drama of proving yourself to people who were never going to believe you. They cost you the approval of the loud, the shallow, and the bitter. And in exchange, they give you back the only thing that matters, command of your own mind. People will treat you differently when you live this way. The ones who took you for granted will start checking on you. The ones who drained you will move on to easier prey. The ones who respected you will respect you more, and the ones who never did will stop mattering. You will walk into rooms and feel the air shift. You will leave conversations without the weight of a single regret. You will sleep like a man who owes nothing to anyone. But none of this works if you treat it as theory. These laws only work if the next time someone baits you, you refuse. The next time someone demands an explanation you do not owe, you refuse. The next time someone tests the door to your peace, you let it stay closed. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, the very next time. That is how you become untouchable. Not by leaving the world, but by refusing to bleed for it. Not by silencing your enemies, but by becoming so silent they can hear their own footsteps echo. This is the ruthless quiet Machiavelli mastered 5 centuries ago, and tonight it belongs to you. If you are ready to live it, drop "I am untouchable" in the comments below. Not as a slogan, as a contract. Speak it into existence. And if this video cracked something open in you, hit like, share it with the one man in your life who needs to hear it, and subscribe, because the next law we break down will change the way you walk into every room for the rest of your life. See you on the other side.